Not eager for the chase, Heim?
I thought it best to rest him, sir. He went lame last time out.
Resting yourself, I think.
Oh, no, sir.
I think yes, sir. I'll see you gentlemen at breakfast.
Yes, Herr General. Yes, Herr General Hardas. I think that soon we shall all be lame.
Sturmführer.
Oberleutnant?
How was Paris?
Refreshing.
The SS got all the luck.
Do you want to transfer?
An old dog like me doesn't learn new tricks so easily. Besides, I'm not a member of the party.
You should be, Kluger. Could be of use to you.
Perhaps.
No, there's no question of it. I will see to it for you.
Reinecker. And you not want a transfer?
To join the party, Kluger, is to demonstrate one's loyalty.
Oh, you think I need to do that?
I think we all do.
Not you, surely, Reinecker.
All of us.
Even the Feldkommandant?
Good morning.
Good morning, Herr Major.
And what is this thing that he and I should or should not do?
Join the Nazi Party.
Thank you. Me join the National Socialists?
Reinecker seems to think we should all.
What for?
He says...
I think I'm capable of speaking for myself, Oberleutnant.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Herr
Good morning, Herr
Commandant.
Commandant.
Reinecker is going to tell us why we should all be party members.
Oh, yes?
It was an inconsequentiality, Herr Major, between Kluger and myself.
An inconsequentiality, Heineke? I can scarcely believe you capable of such a thing.
The Herr Major is pleased to jest at my expense.
The Herr Major is pleased to jest, but the cost to you, I should think, is not very great.
Depends how seriously one takes oneself. Ah!
Figs again.
They mean to keep us on our toes.
But today we shall need to be.
Today?
Today, Herr General der Infanterie Erich Müller, comes to honour us with his presence.
I'd forgotten.
Forgotten? I'm dismayed to hear that, Otto.
Is it social or professional, or don't we know?
Bit of both, I should imagine.
It's professional.
Oh, really?
His visit is in connection
I
with
should
the...
prefer to hear the reason from the Herr General's own lips, if you don't mind, Klaus. Is that cream?
Top of the milk, I think.
If you'll excuse me.
Of course. Thank you. Oxo, you have been bear baiting again, I think.
Me, sir?
I see that you have.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I would have thought party membership a somewhat injudicious subject for badinage.
It arose quite casually.
With the SS, very little is casual.
Reinecke was merely making the point that to be a member of the party is to demonstrate one's loyalty.
And do we conclude that the obverse is equally true? Quite so. My Friedel is right. It's a subject best avoided, certainly in the mess.
This business of the General's visit, if Reinecke knows what it's about, it likely involves the SS in some way,
It seems likely.
which never did anyone much good.
Then we must brace ourselves.
It could be serious.
Indeed it could.
Do you know what it's
Maybe
about?
leave the subject answered.
Of course, I'm sorry.
Yes, I do know.
Oh, it's not
Now my
necessary.
sharpness was undeserved. There appears to be a renewal of interest in the Martel case.
Reinecke?
Who else?
My God.
Morning, Olive.
Gracious, is that the time?
9:15, on the dot. How many have we got this morning?
7 in the waiting room so far.
Worse. They were already queuing up at my place.
Would it be much easier to close this surgery and our people come over to you?
Not really. Less effort for me to come to them than the other way round. At least so long as I can run the car. Besides, helps to keep the practice going.
It is good of you, John. Philip will be so grateful.
Nonsense. He'd do the same for me. Anyway, it's a small return for all he's done for all of us these last 18 months. How are they treating him? Have you heard?
This came yesterday. It's the first I've heard.
Cherche Midi Prison, Paris. Conditions acceptable, food adequate. In spite of Betty Martin, I'm in good shape. Won't be long now till I see you again. All my love to you and Claire. All my eye and Betty Martin, eh?
What it means is that conditions are terrible and food, starvation level.
Well, it's unlikely to be quite that, I should have thought. And he does say that in spite of it all, he's in good shape.
Yes. Would you like some coffee?
I'd love some coffee. Oh, but you're about to eat.
I'm waiting for Claire. She went out early. I expected her back an hour ago. I do hope nothing's happened.
Claire? Oh, no. Very capable of looking after herself, that one.
I think there's more barley in it this week.
Yes, I scarcely ever have to prescribe a laxative when I know the coffee's made from the acorn.
Oh, John, you're joking. Aren't you?
Very good. Are you all right?
Me?
Yes.
Why do you ask?
Are you worried about something?
Of course I am.
He said he's all right.
Yes. It's Claire. She's become very, very distant.
You mean uncommunicative?
Yes.
You say she's become like this?
Well, I've noticed it over several weeks.
But you get on well enough.
Oh, yes.
She's what, 24?
She will be in June.
She got a boyfriend?
Well, the Germans sent him to prison with Philip.
Oh, yes, of course, that's right. Young Porteous from St. Saviour's.
She blames herself.
What, for them being sent to prison? Was she at all to blame? Do you blame her?
Yes, I do.
I better start surgery. She's still working in the hospital at the almoner's office, isn't it?
Yes.
I'll see if I can have a word with her. I'm down there tomorrow. No, it's all right. I'll make it very casual, don't worry.
Thank you, John.
It'll be nothing. You'll see.
Yes, me being fanciful. Oh, I almost forgot. Mrs. Sellers asks if you'll go and see her. She says she's got dropsy.
She's got edema of the legs due to malnutrition, like a good many. I hope you're eating enough. I can't have you getting ill.
Oh, I'll get what I can.
I could give you a note for some brandy.
No, there are many much worse off than they manage. But thank you, I shall be all right.
You sure?
I'm far too busy to be ill.
That's the ticket.
So, General Muller's visit is not entirely social.
The good policeman never forgets an idle remark. Eh, Kluger?
Was it idle, Reineke?
As it happens, it was not.
No. You let Richter get under your skin, didn't you?
I was unamused by the conversation, certainly.
Unamused? I said you'd take yourself too seriously.
I sometimes think, Kluger, there is not enough sense of purpose in this garrison.
Sense of purpose here.
You're a very prosaic fellow, you know.
You may have a mission to accomplish, Reineke. I merely have a job to do.
Do you intend to be scornful?
We both have jobs to do, Reineke. Mine is the detection and prevention of crime. And right now that means the suppression of the black market in meat. A very prosaic business. And it takes up most of my time.
The civil authorities, Kluger, are becoming too lax. They should do more.
Do more what?
Enforcement of the law, of course.
They do very well with only a handful of police.
Who turn the other way when it's one of their own people.
That is not true. And even if it were, I would understand it. They tread a very fine line.
Do they?
What is it you want, Reineke? An active resistance? So that you can come down hard on
Things
them?
are too easy, Kluger.
For them or for us?
For both.
You'd like it in Holland, wouldn't you? Where there's no civil administration, only a military government. Then you could come down hard on them all the time. Why don't you go to Holland, Reineke?
Kluger, I would remind you of the...
Thank you, Feldwebel.
There are going to be changes, Kluger. Slackness will not be tolerated. Berlin will not... Kluger, are you listening to me?
You'll like this, Reineke. Among those due to appear in the next Feldkommandant's court is Miss Claire Martel, charged with being without permit in a prohibited zone and attempted assault on a member of the occupying forces.
What a silly thing to do. You could have been killed. Didn't you see the signs? Well, didn't you see the signs?
We needed wood for the stove.
You didn't have to go down to the beach to get it. There are still twigs to find in the hedgerows. And we'll be due another 100 weight next week. You didn't have to go down to the beach to get it. What did they say? Did they ask you if you'd seen any notices? Claire, what did they say?
They said I couldn't fail to have seen the notices.
But did you say you hadn't?
Yes.
So they don't believe you. Well, drink your coffee. You'll be lucky if they only find you. It is the Feldkommandant's court, not the police court. Claire?
Sorry.
They're not handing you over to our police, are they? When's the hearing? When you've got to be there?
9 o'clock.
Tomorrow morning. You better tell the hospital. With luck, you can get there by the afternoon. Have you rung them yet to tell them why you're late? Claire, you seem half asleep. What's the matter?
They must send me to France.
They won't send you to France. They'll fine you, I should think. £3 if you're lucky. A whole week's wages for something silly and completely unnecessary. Even if they do send you to prison, it would be here.
I want them to send me away.
What did you say?
Don't you hear me? I want them to send me away. I want them to. I want them to.
I don't understand what you're saying, Claire.
I saw him, Mummy.
Oh, Claire. Who did you see?
He was standing on the rock, the blue sky behind him, just as it was. And it happened just as it did.
The young German pilot, you...
It was that summer, July 1940. And it was hot. And Clive was waiting for me among the rocks at Corbière. He wasn't in uniform, and I remember thinking that if the German soldiers catch him, they'll shoot him for a spy. And then suddenly I looked up, and that airman was there, looking down at us, smiling. And I picked up a stone and I threw it at him. He was smiling, and I killed him. He was smiling, and I killed him.
Claire, it was not your fault.
He was smiling, and I killed him.
Claire, listen to me.
He was smiling, and I killed him.
How did he know she was going to hit him with it?
He said, with some justification, I think, there was no other reason why she should pick the stone up.
But she didn't actually hit him with it.
No.
Didn't even try, apparently. Who made out the charges?
Stabsfeldwebel Mulders.
Tell him to strike out the assault charge.
Herr Major,
What's the problem?
Reinecke knows. In the circumstances, would it not be better to proceed with both charges and dismiss the assault for lack of evidence?
He's half an hour early. Damn him. It's all right.
1,200 hours, his ADC said. It's deliberate. Hoping to catch us out in some imperfection. Luther sniffing after corruption. And speaking of sniffing after corruption, is this yours, Kluge?
One of Reinecke's, I think so.
My compliments. Perhaps he'd care to have it back.
Oh, Kluger, we'll do as you suggest. Leave both charges on a sheet. Tell Stabsfeldwebel to put the girl up first.
Very good, sir.
Damn Martel girl in trouble again.
What, Dr. Martel's girl?
Yes.
What is it this time?
She was found in a prohibited zone.
Oh, no.
This time it was innocuous.
With that girl? I thought you said there were 2 charges.
Oh, the other will fail for lack of evidence. Assault on a soldier and the execution of his duty.
Well, let's hope that it does fail. Come in.
Good morning, Herr Major. General Muller.
Good morning, Richter.
Morning, Herr General.
I wonder, Freidel, if I might ask you to look after my ADC.
It will be my pleasure, sir.
Well, Richter,
Delighted you could come, sir.
I pretty much left you alone since I've arrived. Thought it about time I had a look at you all.
We are, of course, gratified by your confidence, sir, but honoured by your presence.
Nicely said, Richter, but it's been more a question of having more urgent things to do. Like trying to ensure that 16,000 Todt workers built the right fortifications in the right places.
Will you stay for luncheon, sir?
No, I've got to go over to Jersey this afternoon.
And then a glass of schnapps.
Later. The war goes well for us. In North Africa, Rommel's Panzer Army holds down the British. Soon he'll be ready to attack. In Russia also, we're building up to the next push. In the Far East, in Burma, the Japanese press forward, and soon India will be at risk. Here in Europe, we consolidate our conquests.
The Fuhrer must be pleased, sir.
I would say he has every reason to be, considering what has been achieved in what time.
Meantime, those of us who are here in the Channel Islands...
Here we do 2 things. We fortify and we govern. What is the purpose of conquest if one does not govern? And what is the point of governing if one fails to keep what one holds?
If England should make peace, sir, we will surely hand the islands back.
You doubt that England will make peace?
Yes.
I also. But whether she does or whether she doesn't, we will never hand back these islands. The Führer intends, for strategic reasons, that they should remain in German occupation. And you have been Commandant of Guernsey for how long?
Since the 30th of June, 1940, Herr General.
1 year and 9 months. Do you not desire a return to regimental duties?
I should like to think that I could still be of service here, sir.
Like me, you're an infantry soldier, but unlike me, with you, that has not always been so.
No, sir, before the war, I was an academic.
And that, no doubt, was the reason for your appointment, wouldn't you say?
It was likely to have had some bearing, yes, sir.
It is certain the special circumstances in these islands require special attributes, and not necessarily the straightforward military ones. Nevertheless, and however special the circumstances, the immediate military responsibility for both Guernsey and Jersey fits into a command structure which stretches through me to the military commander in France, and from General Stulpnagel to the Oberkommando der Wehrmacht, and from the High Command to the Führer himself, who is keenly interested in how we conduct matters in the name of the Third Reich. I make myself quite clear, I trust?
Yes, Herr General.
I am told you failed to prosecute a group of islanders caught spying.
Yes, Herr General.
Perhaps you will explain to me your reasons.
There were two principals involved, sir, a young man and a young woman. They attempted to smuggle photographs of a new Elbing-class torpedo boat to a resistance group in France. At their first attempt, they failed. However, the young woman's father, Dr. Philip Martel, at that time the member of the island's emergency controlling committees for medical services, was due to travel to Paris to obtain medical supplies. The family's maidservant, who was also involved in the attempt, gave the doctor a letter which he said was a private communication to her brother, a seaman on the boat in which the doctor was to travel. Although in breach of the regulations governing censorship, Martel agreed to take the letter. When his luggage was searched at the harbour checkpoint, the envelope was found, and upon being opened, the photographs were discovered. Dr. Martel was entirely innocent of the scheme, but it would have been impossible to separate him from the rest. Had the proper charges been sent on to the military governor in France, a sentence of death would have been imposed.
But that was not up to you to do.
No, sir, that was up to you.
Go on.
Had Dr. Martel been shot, sir, the effects upon the civilian population would have been extremely bad, and our relationships with them made very difficult. You see, the wording of General Stulpnagel's proclamation was precise. Any person involved in such acts, either as perpetrator, participant, or instigator, will, upon conviction, suffer the death penalty without power of appeal. Dr. Martel, however, unknowingly, was a participant. I therefore decided to sidestep the issue by preferring purely technical charges in the case of Martel evading censorship regulations, and in the case of the young man, Peter Porteous, violating defense regulations. Both men were sentenced to terms of imprisonment in the Cherche Midi. The maidservant was fined for a minor offence relating to censorship, and her brother was arrested in Granville for attempted smuggling.
And the daughter went free.
I would say, sir, that the daughter is a prisoner of her own conscience.
And your obligation to inform me as your superior officer?
It did not exist, sir. Not with respect concerning those lesser charges.
As an exercise in local command initiative, I don't criticize you. What I do criticize you for is naivete, something one occasionally finds in the academic. You have an SS officer, Hauptsturmführer Reinecker, attached to your staff. Did you suppose an SS officer would have a similar attitude?
I explained my reasons, sir. If they satisfied me, I had every right to assume they would also satisfy him.
Why academics are sometimes naive, the reason is they assume everyone else to be as rational as they are, yes?
An interesting hypothesis, sir.
Hypothesis be damned, it's right! And you demonstrate the truth of it. You are wrong in what you did. Wrong in principle and wrong in practice.
I did what I did, sir, because I
The
thought
best thing I can say about it is that you did the wrong thing for the right reasons, and that is the best I can say about it. You were under a duty to inform me.
You had only just arrived in the island, sir, and I...
And you thought this galloping general will for certain do everything by the book, so I will spare embarrassment all round and dispense justice as of my own God-given right. Isn't that it? Shorn of intellectual trimmings, what we are down to is simple arrogance.
I meant to spare the Herr General a problem which arose at the very moment of his arrival.
The Herr General doesn't believe you. He thinks the Herr Major entertained doubts that his superior officer possessed wisdom in the same degree as himself. Duty and common sense required that you, the local garrison commander, should inform me, the newly appointed commander-in-chief of the British Channel Islands, of these particular offences and of all the background circumstances relevant to them. Had I been so minded, in the light of that advice, to interpret the matter judiciously to the military commander in France, I could have done so without the monumental embarrassment of some damned SS busybody reporting to Berlin behind my back. You would have done your duty, and justice and honor would have been served. But you hadn't got enough confidence in me, had you? You expect me to repose confidence in you? Is it a one-way process? The whole damn business has echoed round Berlin.
I had not appreciated, sir, that it might develop in just that way.
That is why you are a Major and I am a General Major. You can have the pleasure of doing it.
I see Reinecke is promoted to Sturmbannführer.
Equal rank with you and Friedel. Evidently Berlin thinks well of him.
I would not have thought that our backwater would be of so much interest to the SS, sir.
Our backwater interests the Führer, and that which interests the Führer interests the SS.
Is this a consequence of my handling of the Martel case, sir?
Inevitably.
Then perhaps it is time I return to regimental duties.
You said you hoped you could still be of service here. What has changed, except the salt in your wounds has begun to smart a little?
If there is a lack of confidence...
If there is a lack of confidence, you will be told. I will tell you. Until such time you enjoy my full confidence. My young men are anxious for some social life, Richter. What do you suggest?
Well, sir, they are welcome in the mess, of course, at any time.
No, not military, civilian social life.
British, sir? They're islanders?
Naturally. My young men have been here for 6 months, and in that time neither they nor I have met any of the leading families. We would all be most grateful if you would arrange some introductions. And now let us join our colleagues for some schnapps.
Yes, Dr. Martel's house? Oh, John, thank you for calling back. It's Claire. You said you were going to come and see her tomorrow, but Well, yes, she was on the sands collecting driftwood, and she wasn't supposed to be there without a permit. The Germans have arrested her, and now no, she's back in her room, but she seems awfully distressed. I really don't know what to do, John. I can't seem to get through to her. Oh, I've been most grateful. Thank you. Yeah.
Don't let her know I'm coming.
No, I won't. Bye-bye, John.
I say if a man wears spurs, he should know how to damn well ride, wouldn't you say, Friedel?
Damn well ride or ride damn well, sir?
Huh? Oh, yes. Very good, very good. What's your answer to that, Heim?
Better not to wear spurs than be damned either way, I should say, sir.
I should say this young chap deserves some social life, wouldn't you?
I think we all do, sir.
The Commandant is going to see to it for us.
Well, we do have a mess night once a month.
Those things are not so much social life as bacchanalia. I mean civilized contact with the people here.
We have tried, sir, but there was a certain amount of resistance.
Well, that's only to be expected. It's up to you to overcome that. Let them see what kind of people we are. Must get to know them. Be good for them and good for us. Isn't that Capitan von Heldorf over there? Excuse me, will you?
Gentlemen, if you will forgive me also.
Is he serious about meeting the islanders?
Perfectly.
And you were to arrange it?
It would appear so.
I see.
The Herr General seems most affable.
Perhaps because he's the bearer of good tidings, Reinecke.
Indeed.
For you, Reinecke.
For me, Herr Major?
I am to inform you that Reichsführer Himmler has been pleased to advance you to the rank of Sturmbannführer. Congratulations. No doubt you wish to read your appointment.
Sturmbannführer. An impossible situation.
Unfortunately not.
You know what I mean, Dieter.
Indeed I do. A subtle revenge.
Subtle.
Well, revenge anyway.
The Martel business.
As I had supposed.
Surely he can't have wanted this.
No, I'm sure he doesn't. I'm sure he likes the SS no more than we do.
He is the CNC here.
He's also a divisional commander and an ambitious man. He's got his eye on an army corps. He's not going to risk that for bad relations with the SS.
I see. And you've...
Have embarrassed him, yes.
Oh. If the British land now, what do we do?
Send Reinecke to meet them.
Ernst tells me the Martel girl is in trouble again.
I'm afraid so, yes.
Where is she now?
Oh, we didn't take her. She's either at home or in the hospital. She works there as the assistant to the Ammanov.
Ah, yes, of course. And she comes up when?
Tomorrow morning.
I'm concerned for the mother. With her husband imprisoned in France, this will be a blow. Perhaps I shall go and see her. But then the girl might be there.
I would not object, Dieter.
I'm afraid we must go, Herr Commandant.
It's been our pleasure to entertain you.
Perhaps we shall have the honor of entertaining you and Major Friedel over at Mount Duran.
I hope so.
Perhaps an early morning ride with the General and breakfast afterwards. I'm sure we can find a decent mount for you.
I shall certainly wear my spurs.
Making your apologies, Heim?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry we couldn't stay to luncheon. It's been most pleasant.
Thank you, sir.
Goodbye, Friedel.
Herr General?
When were you last on a horse, Major?
Years ago, sir.
Do you the world a good. Shake you up, tighten the girth. Goodbye, Oberst.
So?
Heim.
Herr Oberst.
Obviously, if the SS disapproved, someone else in Berlin thought what you did was right.
Thank you.
I wonder if Reinecke knows about your own promotion.
I should say the Herr General has left that one to me. me in.
I do not disturb you, Major.
Not at all.
Major, I have felt it to be a problem for some time. And from now I think it will be bigger. The problem.
What problem is that, Reiniger?
I have had to share an office with Kluge since we arrived.
Since you are both concerned with investigations of various kinds, and also we are short of space, that seemed perfectly sensible.
It has not always been convenient, and with this disparity of rank.
Ah, that has always been.
There is now a difference of 2 ranks.
Very well. I will ask the adjutant to find you somewhere. It will have to be in the annex.
Well, that cannot be.
Really?
If anyone is to move to the annex, it will be Kluge.
That cannot be.
Why?
Because we have to share this building with the civil administration of the military government. And Major Friedel, as Feldkommandant, needs Kluge here.
It's deeply unsatisfactory.
What is? What is?
That we should be so short of accommodation.
Annika, do you know how many of us there were that landed on that Sunday and Monday 1 year and 9 months ago?
120.
Correct. Of whom perhaps 20 were headquarters staff. Well, now we have 4,000 garrison troops and 300 staff. Not to mention Müller's divisional HQ, plus all the Luftwaffe, Kriegsmarine and construction troops. All competing for somewhere to live and work. As you say, it's deeply unsatisfactory.
So, you can do nothing?
No, Reiniger, nothing. I sympathize with you, having to share with an officer junior to yourself. I now have to do the same.
Any feeling of nausea in the mornings? Silly question, really, but what about your appetite? You look forward to what little there is to eat.
I don't want anything.
Because of the monotony of it?
I'm not hungry.
It must be sometimes. Most people here are all the time. I think you've lost some weight. Are you conscious of having lost weight? You're not going without deliberately. You're not depriving yourself of food in order to leave more for your mother.
I don't deserve to eat.
Deserve? Well, we all have to live. In order to live, we must eat. Deserve is a moral scruple. To eat a physical necessity.
I do not want to eat.
Can you tell me why you don't? Claire, I'm an old friend. I'm not just a doctor.
There's nothing for you to do.
You went out very early this morning. Do you often do that? Is it because you find difficulty in sleeping?
I wake to no hope.
But this war won't go on forever. The tide will soon turn. The Americans are in with us now.
For me, no hope.
But there's hope for all of us.
Every morning, very early, before even the birds sing, I wake to a stifling weight, as if I knew I had some terrible disease. I lie there and I try to banish it from my thoughts, but it presses down on me so I can't sleep. Every morning, for hours, I lie there, pressed down beneath the wet sand. And I know for me, there is no hope. No hope at all.
There's not much wrong physically. But she must eat. Otherwise she'll go down with some infection.
I do try, you know.
Yes, of course you do. It wasn't a criticism. I've been talking to the almoner. She thinks that Claire's been worrying about something for several weeks. She's noticed she's become very listless and forgetful. At first, she thought it was just a vitamin deficiency, but she's inclined now to the view that it may be something more than that.
Oh? And what exactly is it that inclines her to that view?
Well, she does see her regularly, but not all the time. Which means that she isn't as likely to be conditioned by familiarity into accepting the slightly unusual, as you are.
Yes, I'm sorry, that's quite true.
Nevertheless, you had noticed something, haven't you? And this business of being arrested on the beach seems merely to have brought this, whatever it is, to a head, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
I think there's no question of her attending court tomorrow. I'll give you a note to give to the Germans. There's a degree of anorexia, and the sleep pattern is characteristic. She's plainly severely depressed. Is there a history of such a thing in yours or Philip's family?
No, I don't think so.
No? Then if it's not endogenous, we're going to have to look for some external cause of it.
I know what it is.
I'll try to get some vitamin tablets, but... well, I'm afraid...
It's nothing that a pill and a pat on the head can cure.
Oh, a pat on the head, or at any rate, encouragement and reassurance will do as well as anything.
Philip will be back in a few weeks, will
Olive.
she be able...
She's suffering from some kind of psychogenic disorder, and I'm not a psychiatrist. Obviously, from what you tell me, this terrible business has been on her mind for months. I think she tried to put it from her, but today, when she found herself in the same place, it all suddenly came back.
Then why on earth did she go there?
I don't know. Perhaps she went there quite deliberately. These things are very complicated, and as I say, I'm not much up in all that. I think perhaps you should encourage her to talk about her fears rather than bottle them up. Anyway, I'll see what I've got on the subject and pop in tomorrow.
Thank you, John.
And Olive, for the second time today, don't worry.
Oh.
Mrs. Martel.
Major Richter.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Please come in, Major.
Thank you.
I'll see you tomorrow, John, then.
My apologies. I rang the bell at the front door, but to no effect.
No, it doesn't work. The batteries are... and there are no more to be had.
No, of course not.
Please sit down.
Thank you.
Friends, people I expect to call, they know.
Of course. If
Of
it
course,
is
you are not
inconvenient...
among
I do beg your pardon?
I was saying, Major Richter, that you are not amongst those I would have expected to call.
No. No.
You were very considerate toward my husband.
I regret that he had to go to prison, but it was unavoidable.
I understood the circumstances.
I'm here because of your daughter. I'm sorry she finds herself in trouble again, but you need not worry. It will be a fine only, and I wanted to say that you should not worry.
Yes, everyone tells me I should not worry.
They are right. It will be a fine, Mary. I'm sure of it.
No, I don't mean that. My daughter's not well.
I'm most sorry to hear that.
Dr. Forbes was here to see her. He feels that she will not be well enough by tomorrow.
Oh, she need not come to court until she is well enough.
I was going to the Commandant to her to hand this in, but perhaps...
I will see if the Feldkommandant receives it. Thank you.
It's very kind of you, Major.
I trust the indisposition is of no great account.
Dr. Forbes will see her tomorrow. We must just wait and see. Her father's in prison, and also her young man. It's preyed upon her mind. The young, they are less able to be philosophic about these things.
True. Well, there is no question of adding to her burdens until Dr. Forbes feels she is able to bear them.
Thank you. I was about to make some tea of a kind. Would you care to?
If it would not be an imposition, I would like that. Thank you. You have heard from Dr. Martel?
A brief message. Just the one. He says that he's well.
I'm very pleased to hear that.
Yes, I think you are. I'm not sure I like it.
Would you be happier with a more conventional attitude of hostility, then?
In a way, yes. It would be less confusing. Small kindnesses tend to cloud the issue.
Which is what?
That we are at war and you and I are enemies.
And ordinary humanity has no place in it?
As I say, it confuses.
Offering me refreshment, is that also confusing?
Yes.
For you or for me?
Both of us, probably.
Thank you. And nevertheless, I'm grateful.
That is why it is confusing.
Perhaps, therefore, it would render the matter more acceptable if I were to tell you that there is a more selfish reason for my being here. But indeed, what you have just said bears very much upon that reason. Some islanders have never ceased to express their enmity towards us. On the other hand, there are others who have always responded to gestures of friendship reciprocally. Now, I know there are many who will say that those gestures are illogical, sentimental even. Nevertheless, such gestures do mitigate the hostile reality of our presence here. Are they to be rejected?
Well, I don't know how to answer that, Major. You must just do what you think is right for you. For oneself, that is. I hope the tea is to your liking.
It is, thank you.
What is this ulterior reason, then, Major?
The Commander-in-Chief of the Channel Islands, General Miller, has made his headquarters in Guernsey at Mont Durant. He asks if it would be possible for him to be received socially. Well, I thought to ask your view, partly because of your husband's eminence in the island's affairs, but also because I trust your discretion.
Well, that's such a mixture of insult and flattery, I hardly know how to answer, Major. I think you must already know the answer, and I don't want to say any more. You have been very considerate to me and my family, and of course you may depend on my discretion.
Thank you, Mrs. Martel. It has been a pleasure for me to talk with you. Good afternoon.
You might like a cup of...
She's not back?
I know something terrible's happened.
Now, you don't know anything of the sort. Now, just take a deep breath and... Ooh, what's that?
Haricot beans all burnt dry. Damn! Damn!
You can't do anything about it now. Just sit down and tell me. What did Major Richter want?
He came to say that I shouldn't worry about Claire, and that she'd only be fined for being out of bounds. Oh.
Fine is all I'd expect.
Oh, I don't know, John. I imagine he was only trying to help. I'm sorry. It's just I'm so worried. You've been so good and I've been such a nuisance all day.
Now, you haven't been a nuisance at all. Now, just leave this saucepan to serve and come sit down.
He was here for about 10 minutes. When he'd gone, I went up to her room with a cup of tea, but she wasn't there. I looked in the sitting room, not that I expected her to be there. It's so cold with the fire never being lit that we almost never use it. I looked in the consulting room, thinking she might be reading one of Philip's books. I went upstairs again to check our room, Clive's, the spare room, the bathroom, and both the lavatories, but she was nowhere in the house, absolutely nowhere.
Well, you looked outside?
Yeah, the potting shed and the garage, but she had completely disappeared.
Yes, but you might just have gone for a walk.
Oh.
I really don't think you can assume that she's
John,
been...
in the state she's in, I am just terrified what she'll do.
Now, look. The girl is clearly in a great state about something she did a year and a half ago. And what she desperately needs is a calm and reassuring atmosphere, not you worrying yourself sick every time she goes out the door. And that's better. What did the police have to say?
Well, they took her particulars and said they'd keep a lookout for her. I also telephoned the commandant to her. I asked for a message to be given to Major Richter. Oberst Richter, I was told. He's been promoted to colonel, it seems. They were a bit stuffy and said I should deal with the civil police. I said that I had, but there were only 30 of those against several thousand of them, so would they help, please? You think I shouldn't have?
Well, I was just wondering how she might react if one of them should approach her.
Oh.
If you see what I mean.
Oh, I don't know. I only knew that if she wasn't found soon, something terrible would happen.
Captain Foster Smythe, I'm trying to suggest ways in which the island of Guernsey could be a little more self-sufficient. Your pre-war economy was based on tourism and horticulture. Clearly, neither is any longer of much relevance.
And I have
more
been trying...
emphasis must be given to food production.
I have been trying to point out, Major, that keeping upwards of 3,000 head of cattle in order to supply your troops with dairy produce requires a hell of a lot of pasture. Land which cannot be used for growing root crops.
The cattle are not exclusively there for German use, as you very well know.
Half of them are. More than half of them, since there are now as many of you on the island as there are civilians. If you're going to complain about the food, you shouldn't have come.
This is intolerable. I am trying to help, and all I get in return is unwarranted abuse.
You've requisitioned 20 tons of winter vegetables per month since December and are insisting on increasing it to 70 tons a month in the spring. That sounds more like plunder than help.
May I remind you our demands for the winter were originally for 50 tons a week, and that we reduced that figure by 60% at your request.
Because your original figure couldn't possibly have been met. And you know it. Do you know what the civilian ration of potatoes is?
Of course, £7 per person per week since the ration was introduced on the 8th of December.
And do you also know how much has actually been available?
This is entirely incidental.
Apart from £2 each in Christmas week, nothing. That's how much. The ration is theoretical. People queue for hours for a few parsnips or turnips while you commandeer what you want. There are poor people, particularly in a state of semi-starvation. There is a finite amount of cultivatable land on this island, Major, and you cannot get out of it more than it will bear. Livestock compete with people for food. It's a fine balance. Animal husbandry is neither the most efficient nor economic method of producing protein.
I don't want a lecture from you on farm management. I am putting to you a way of utilizing private gardens and wasteland, not a wholesale change in farming policy.
Well, what private gardens? Nearly all the houses with large private gardens have been requisitioned for your troops.
Oh, rubbish! There's a thriving industry in back garden produce. Pigs, goats, rabbits, poultry. I am saying that organized on proper official lines, this could make a significant contribution to food supplies.
Well, if that's the case, why interfere with it? Leave well alone.
I said organized on proper official lines. That does not mean into the black market.
Black market?
Prosecutions are running at the rate of 1 a week for the illegal slaughter of undeclared livestock and trading in illicit produce. Your methods of growing and distributing food are inadequately organized. Your board for the management of glasshouses operates at a permanent loss and is a drain on state finances.
And what has that to do with the question of marginal food production, or shouldn't I ask?
It is a further example of inefficiency.
Which would never be allowed in the Third Reich.
I am not prepared to listen to sarcasm, nor to having every reasonable suggestion I put forward rejected out of hand. You will supply me with the number of pigs over 6 weeks old notified to the Farm Produce Board as being in domestic ownership, so that I may discuss the matter with our own agricultural advisor.
You don't
You have 24 hours in which to produce this information.
Good afternoon, Major.
Good afternoon, Captain. And how was your weekly encounter, Captain Foster's mind?
It really is quite impossible. The damn man is just a pettifogging bureaucrat. Is England full of such people? If so, thank God the Fuhrer didn't invade them. Why did they elect him to the controlling committee? At least with Dr. Martell you could discuss the problem. With this man, it's always a total lack of cooperation.
What's this telephone message? I've just seen Mrs. Martell.
Oh, Kluger knows about it.
Herr Oberst?
Is Oberleutnant Kluge in his office?
Yes, Herr Oberst.
Ask him to come along here.
At once, Herr Oberst.
There's another message there from the General's ADC.
Milo wants 12 of his HQ officers to be invited. Have you seen this?
I have.
In addition to himself in his ADC.
Plus an equal number from here.
And the cream of local society.
Why did you agree?
I most certainly did not agree. I was left no choice. The Herr General wants a civic reception for himself and his young officers, and he's determined to have one. Only one problem. The cream of local society don't know him and don't want to know him. Indeed, they don't want to know us. Not desperately surprising. Under the circumstances, I wouldn't want to know us either. Overcome their resistance, he said. Let them see the kind of people we are, he said. Be good for them, good for us. Weren't those his words?
His very words.
Yes, well then.
Well, you did demur, did you not?
Demur? What kind of word is that?
Oh, hesitate from uncertainty.
Yes. And I bloody well did hesitate from uncertainty. Did it do me any good? It did not. The General still wants his reception, so what am I to do, huh?
I honestly don't know, Dieter.
I raised the subject with Mrs. Martell. I said, the Commander-in-Chief is desirous of being received socially. She replied, I would already know the answer to such a proposal, and she did not wish to say more. So there we are. The Herr General will not be received socially by the islanders, and frankly does that surprise us. Now, Otto, what's this message from Mrs. Martell?
Yes. She spoke to the Stabsfeldwebel, and in your absence, he passed the message to me. It seems that Mrs. Martell is very worried about her daughter.
Oh, yes, I've just come from there. The daughter's unwell. Yeah. Well, I was supposed to give this to you. This is from her doctor. The mother didn't seem unduly perturbed then.
But immediately after you left, she went to look for her daughter and could find her nowhere. She telephoned the island police and then took the liberty of seeking your assistance, Herr Oberst. I've asked the Feldgendarmerie patrols to keep a lookout for her.
This is to certify that Miss Claire Martell is suffering from acute depression and is for the time being unfit to attend to her affairs. Is this genuine, Dieter?
Oh, yes, I'm sure it is.
Shall I ask a Stabsfeldwebel to take her name out of the court list, Herr Major?
Yes, I think you'd better.
Richter.
A message for Oberleutnant Kluge, Herr Oberst.
Yes, well, what is it?
Fraulein Martell has been found. She is in hospital.
Well, under what circumstances?
She was found unconscious in the sea, Herr Oberst, at Colbert. That is all I know.
I thank you. The girl has been taken unconscious from the sea at Corbière.
Mum's here. Everything's all right.
All I want is for a little time to be quiet. Quiet.
You can be. At home, you can be.
That's all he wanted.
Daddy? Peter?
I had a bunch of flowers for the memorial tablet. Captain Ralph Porteous, MC, 56 Squadron, Royal Flying Corps. And it was hot outside, and in the church it was cool and dim, and the German was there.
Oh, don't think about that now, darling.
He looked round, and at first I didn't see his face.
That's all over. It's in the past now.
What do you want? I said. A stable for your horses. This is the Church of England. So may I not come, he said.
Hush now. It'll be all right, Claire.
I've spoken to the sister and they're going to keep her in overnight. I should leave her be now. She's exhausted. I'll fetch her in my car tomorrow. Come on. I'll take you home.
Yes.
Thank you for calling me.
Is she recuperating satisfactorily?
Yes, she is.
I'm glad.
Thank you, Colonel. You've been most kind.
I'll take Mrs. Martell home. Good day.
Good day. Excuse me, may I be allowed to see Miss Martell?
She's not to be disturbed?
No, of course not.
Then you may.
Thank you.
Briefly.
All I want is a little time to be quiet. That's what he said. For what he'd done on the road to Ostrovich. And at Corbière. He saw Clive. So I had to. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Thank you, John.
Waiter.
I don't know why you let the bastards in. I couldn't stop them. If I could, they'd only close the hotel. A couple of dozen more people out of work would profit from that. Drop dead. Do you know what the Emperor Charles V said?
If it's anti-German, I'll buy it.
I speak Spanish to God, Italian to women, French to men, and German to my horse.
Poor bloody horse.
Pierre, if I bring in some more meat, can you cut it up for me?
When?
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow? You're going it, son.
While the opportunity exists, take it. Next week it might not. Dr. Forbes has given me a list of people most in need.
Does he know what you're up to?
He didn't want to.
I'm not surprised.
You're getting cold feet.
No, I'm not. But I sometimes wonder if it's worth the very considerable risk. You're an appointed representative of the people. It was bad enough when Martel was sent to prison. If it happens again, the Germans will trust no one.
Don't worry, I've got it all worked out with Bichard at the code store.
All I need is for someone to cut the stuff up into convenient portions. But do you have to deliver it personally? Isn't there some way they can collect it?
Would you like them queuing up outside?
Hardly.
Well then, look. I've got the card for official business and a permit which says so. They're not going to question me about what I'm doing or where I'm going.
Look, all it needs is for someone's neighbour to think they're missing out. A quick call to the commandanture, and they're right on to you.
So what do? Let the opportunity of doing a bit of good simply pass by?
All I'm saying is it needs just one person with a sense of injustice, and you're in dead trouble.
We'll just have to hope that doesn't happen then, won't we?
Ah, the Führer savouring the spoils of victory.
All best. May I offer you a drink?
Thank you.
Port.
The same. Thank heavens there's somewhere still neutral. There'll soon be spring in Paris.
Soon be spring in Guernsey.
You prefer it here?
Too much crime in Paris. Too much intrigue.
Otto, I thought you were a hungry detective from Hamburg.
I've been spoiled.
Thank you. Yes, I expect we all have. Wonder how much longer it will last.
You think it won't last?
I said I wonder, which is to speculate idly as far as I'm prepared to go in the matter.
I understand.
Do you? This is excellent.
How was the Martel girl, sir?
I think she'll be all right.
This time? It was deliberate.
It seems likely, yes.
It's funny, isn't it?
Well, scarcely the word I would have used.
No, I mean at Corbière.
What?
Corbière. The E-boat found his body off Corbière.
Whose body?
The Stuka pilot, you remember? The one with the badly burnt face?
Kessler. Lieutenant Kessler. On the Knight's Cross in the Polish campaign, had a death wish for what he'd seen and done. Summer of 1940, wasn't it? A couple of weeks after we'd landed.
Couldn't stop talking about it over lunch. Sunday lunch. That was the last time we saw him in the mess. Couldn't get it out of his mind. Bombing the Polish cavalry, falling back over the Vistula.
Yes. All those horses, he said, on the road to Ostrovich. I wrote to his squadron commander in Abbeville, wasn't it?
There was something about his post-mortem. Death was due to drowning. He'd entered the water whilst unconscious from a blow to the head, consistent with having fallen onto rocks. But the injuries to his head were not extensive. Not what you'd associate with someone throwing himself off a cliff. Much more as though he'd stumbled and fallen a short distance and been knocked out.
That doesn't alter the finding of accidental death.
No, of course not.
Still, as you say, funny about Corbière.
Do you know what time it is, Mr. Foster Smythe? How we start. They'll be here in a few minutes.
Yes, I know. Don't worry. Come on.
Do take some risks.
We all do. Come on.
Perfect.
You're late. No, I'm not. You're early.
No pen.
That's what I'm doing, aren't I? Hang on, hang on. Don't want any of you lot pinching my bike.
Better get rid of that in short order.
How on earth do you manage it?
From under their very eyes. Well, almost.
Well, they start to wonder where their meat's going.
Probably. They haven't rumbled it yet.
And when they do,
we shall have to think of another way. I'll have some more tomorrow.
Be careful.
If they want to be gamekeeper, okay, I'll be poacher. And poachers never get caught.
You're sure of the figures?
I've seen the manifest.
5 carcasses in a week.
Hind quarters mainly, 50 kilos each on average. Very easily manageable.
Surely they guard the stuff. I mean, that must be getting on for a company's rations.
When it is offloaded from the ship, it is checked. It's transported to the cold storage depot, checked. And then when it's issued to the various units, it's checked again. Both by the unit victualling officer and by the storemen.
Is there any means of identifying it?
But of course, they, whoever, would remove these first thing.
Collusion involving our people?
I don't think so. Too many involved. Too risky.
A break-in?
I can't see it. It's a refrigerated building constructed to minimize heat loss. It has several rooms, no windows, and only one door, the key of which is held by the manager.
Well, could it be him?
I don't think so. It is the civilian cold store as well, of course. It has to be. There's nowhere else. And he is an islander. But the store's detail is on duty all the time that he is there. So I don't see how...
Well, it certainly can't go on.
It won't, Herr Major.
Major? Kluger?
What's this?
Wrapping from frozen carcass meat.
I'm sure Reinecker will be only too happy to put the weight of the SS behind this investigation if you ask him, Kluger.
What investigation, Major?
Meat being stolen from the cold storage depot.
Not my province, I'm afraid. Anyway, this morning, I'm otherwise engaged.
I'll bring your toast in a minute.
Thank you.
You always sniff the coffee?
Good morning, Herr General.
Good morning.
It seemed a prudent precaution, although they're pretty reliable here.
Had an aunt who used to stay in Baden-Baden in a place like this. Damned if I know how they can keep going.
They still manage a meal of sorts, a decent bottle of wine.
Not much civilian custom.
A bit expensive for them. The exchange rate is in our favor. Moreover, the manager does his best to make us not unwelcome.
Knows which side his bread is buttered.
Some coffee, Herr General?
Thank you.
Ersatz, of course, but quite drinkable. Ah, thank you. I took the liberty of ordering some toast.
No preserves.
No.
Or sugar. I can let you have a couple of saccharine tablets.
I don't think so, thank you.
You're a Guernsey girl.
Yes.
Worked here before the war, did you?
Before the occupation, I did.
Must seem very different now.
Well, they do say you can get used to anything.
Pert.
But pretty.
Shall you put in your own milk?
You married, Reinecker?
No, sir.
Pity you'd make someone a damn fine wife.
Ah, good. They've managed a bit of butter.
What I said.
Sorry?
They know which side their bread is buttered.
Yes.
Well, Reinecker, what have you got to say to me, eh? And why do you consider it better done here than in my office? Is it to spare me embarrassment or to spare you embarrassment?
Neither, Herr General. That would be to overstate the case.
There must be some truth in it, or you wouldn't be sitting here like a couple of old maids drinking ersatz coffee.
It is a question of embarrassment for us all, I think. That is why, well, one of the reasons anyhow, I sought a discussion here rather than at your own headquarters.
Very well, Sturmbannführer. So much for the preliminaries. Now, what do you have to say to me to spare embarrassment for us all?
What would you say, Herr General, is the biggest non-military threat to our presence in these islands?
You tell me.
Cohabitation.
You mean fraternization?
No, Herr General. I mean cohabitation. All the subtle accommodations arrived at between two sets of people forced to live together. Fraternization is the deliberate cultivation of friendship between people who nevertheless acknowledge a basic antagonism. In opposition, they seek a common ground. The effect of cohabitation is to remove the opposition.
And why is that bad?
Because we are at war, Herr General. And the circumstances here are seductive. We comport ourselves in a casual fashion as though the war were over and won. The war is far from won. We have become slack and complacent.
Is this the considered opinion of the SS?
It is, Herr General.
Because that is how you have reported it.
Because that is how I have seen it.
You have represented these views to the Commandant?
The Commandant is a civilized and humane man.
I see. So, over coffee and buttered toast, you would have me stiffen our resolve. You could have said this in my office.
Some more coffee, Herr General?
Thank you.
You have proposed to Oberstrichter a reception.
I have?
To which are to be invited leading civilians.
What of it?
With respect, Herr General, I have been here since the beginning. I know the temper. To do as you propose would be to invite rebuff. That would not be good. It would not be politic to lay yourself open to such a thing.
You take a lot upon yourself, Sturmbannführer.
It is my duty.
But not to me. You are not of my staff. Not of the regular army.
That is true. But you are the Third Reich in these islands. An insult to you is an insult to Germany.
And to the Führer.
Just as you say.
Hello, Major Reinecker. Didn't expect the pleasure of you today.
Herr General, this is the manager, Mr. Pierre Messervy, General Muller.
We are very honored. Everything to your satisfaction, gentlemen. Within the obvious limits.
Perfectly, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
How old are you, Reinecker?
33, sir.
Young for a Sturmbannführer?
It has been my good fortune.
To be in the right place at the right time, saying the right thing.
Thank you for coffee.
You are right to propose such a meeting, and in such congenial atmosphere.
Herr General?
Everything all right?
Perfectly, miss. The bill, please.
The same stores detail. A Feldwebel, a Gefreiter and 2 men has been on duty the whole time. But there is no suggestion that any of them has been dealing in stolen food.
How can you be certain of that?
The disposal of such a large quantity for cash will be difficult to conceal from their fellows.
Always supposing that their fellows would tell you.
One knows when the truth is being evaded, Oberleutnant.
Yes, I suppose one usually does. And yet, 250 kilos of meat have disappeared. And you can find no evidence implicating the store's detail. All right. Let us assume that the store's detail is not implicated. How the hell is it done? I suppose they are there all the time.
Yes, Oberleutnant. From just before 7 in the morning.
And the stores are locked at 1700, and the guard is set until curfew.
That is correct.
It can't happen after curfew. Any civilian will be picked up immediately. You say the store's detail is there before 7 in the morning?
They are scheduled to be there at 7:15.
What if the manager arrived before them?
That is hardly possible. Curfew does not end till 6:30, and he has a 15-minute bicycle ride to get there.
I see. And, of course, also he would have to arrange with someone with transport. A horse, a cart, a wheelbarrow. No. The time is too narrow for such a thing.
Unless, Herr Oberleutnant...
Unless what?
Unless the detail has got into the habit of arriving late.
Just 5 or 10 minutes would be enough, yeah? All right. From tomorrow, Unterwachtmeister. You will watch, and we will see.
She hasn't eaten anything. Well, it can't go on like this.
Her appetite will come back. It will take time.
Well, she hasn't eaten anything for several days. I mean, she's as thin as a rake. It's almost as if she's trying to... It's so bloody selfish.
She's sick, Olive. She needs help.
Yes, well, I'm sorry. It's a dreadful thing to say, but with one thing and another, I'd like just to be able to give up.
That just isn't possible.
Well, what does one do? I mean, is there no end to it? One copes with them when they're tiny and tries to deal with their problems when they're older, hoping all the time that you're making the right decisions for them. Worrying you're being too lax or too harsh. Hearing about other people's children coming to grief when their parents seem so sensible and fair. Clive refusing to go to university and going in with that awful Teddy Lupus and messing about with motorbikes. And Claire being so moody and difficult. Well, one copes as best one can with all that. At least you can understand all that. But when there's no contact, when you don't know, when you just don't know what you're supposed to do or not to do, then you just feel like giving up. I mean, you don't mind trying. You spend most of your life trying. It's when you just don't know. I'm sorry, John. I'm sorry.
You've done very well, Olive. Both Clive and Claire are a credit to you. With things being as they are, it's natural that you should feel as you do, but these things are beyond your control. You've done the very best you could.
Oh, dear.
Now, come sit down. There's something I want to say.
Thank you.
Now, I understand everything you say, but I think it's important to distinguish between the more or less ordinary parental problems and this. Yes, she's tried to kill herself. Not because of anything you've done or not done, but because of something she's done. It may not even be very rational. She's sick and she needs help. Not the limited kind that I can give her, or even what you can do. She needs to go away for a little, to be with people she doesn't know. Strangers who make no demands upon her, and upon whom she makes no demands. And then perhaps she'll be able to come to terms with it all.
Where? What kind of people?
Some people I know who'll be very understanding.
Something for your scrapbook, Reineke.
Redresses a few past wrongs?
That's a prescription for war, is it?
Well, yes, perhaps it is, but it makes up a bit for the humiliations of Versailles.
Does it?
It does, Herr Oberst.
Told your people, have you, about your promotion?
Yes, I have.
Ah, haven't had a chance yet to tell mine. Come. The Commander-in-Chief and his reception. He's decided against inviting civilians.
Indeed.
And he wants it to be held, better not tell.
Really? Does the General suggest which one?
The Normandy. It's all something of a volte-face for him.
Does the General suggest when?
In 1 week's time.
Herr Oberst, I am acquainted with the manager of the Normandy. Would you like me to discuss arrangements?
That's very considerate of you, Reineke.
Not at all, Oberst. It will be a pleasure. Obviously, you're not expecting visitors so early, Mr. Messervy. Your front door's still locked.
Yes, a little early. What can I do for you, Major Reineke?
A business matter, Mr. Messervy. I'm here on behalf of the Commandant.
Any way I can assist you, I will, Major.
Would you be able to accommodate a reception?
A function? A social function?
Yes.
For roughly how many?
30 or 40?
I'm sure we can.
We will supply the spirit. You still have some wines?
I'm sure we can find something. But canapé, I'm afraid.
Oh, no, we will supply those also, and music.
And I'm sure we can look after you very well.
Good.
What day, Major?
Next Friday.
Splendid, Major Reineke. I'll show you out the front way.
What are these?
Dusting cloths, Major. Still have to dust even in wartime.
Dusting cloths. Strange. They remind me of something.
Just cloths.
You have more early morning visitors.
Kitchen staff, I'll deal with them in a moment.
Good morning, Captain Foster Smythe.
Sit down.
Why have I been brought to this office?
You don't know?
Well, if I did, I wouldn't ask. And I'm waiting for an answer.
You're an arrogant man, Herr Foster Smythe. Beware you do not fall victim to it.
And you are an impudent man, and I shall report you to your senior officer. Now, I ask you again. I came here to see the Feldkommandant on official business.
What was the purpose of your visit this morning to the cold storage depot?
I was asked to deliver a message to Bishar, the manager.
By whom?
His wife. They are not on the phone.
But you are. And yet you must have left the second curfew was lifted in order to arrive there at the time you did. Why did you not telephone? Can I help you, Herr Sturmbannführer?
No, continue, Oberleutnant.
You were about to tell me why you could not telephone the man Bishar at the cold storage depot this morning. On a matter of such evident urgency. Why did you have to go there?
My phone was out of order.
I should warn you, Herr Foster Smythe, I've already inquired about your phone.
Then I shall say no more.
On the grounds that it may incriminate you. I believe the Americans call it pleading the Fifth Amendment. You're very wise to do so, Herr Foster Smythe.
Forgive me, Herr Oberleutnant. When was all this?
This morning.
Early?
Yes.
I cannot think why Captain Foster Smythe does not say. He was on an errand to the Hotel Normandy. I was there myself. He had some polishing cloths to deliver. Well, they were cloths, certainly, and to be used for polishing, or so I was told. So, presumably, polishing cloths. No doubt the cold storage depot was on his route. Is that not so, Captain Foster Smythe?
If you say so.
There. And I say something else. I think that the captain will find it unnecessary to pass the cold storage depot in future. Is that not so, Captain?
If you say so.
Good.
Herr Foster Smythe, I think you're indeed a fortunate man not to have been caught red-handed. Next time you will not be so lucky.
Good evening, Herr General.
Didn't mind me having second thoughts, Richter.
Only too happy, sir. This place is a very good choice.
Yes, makes a bit of a change from the mess, I think. Decided against civilians, though. Not really a great deal in common.
Except being in Guernsey.
Right.
General, gentlemen, everything to your satisfaction.
Capital, Messerby, capital.
Splendid.
Mr. Messervy? I'm sure you must have quite enough polishing cloths to last for a long time. It's such a pity if the Hotel Normandy were forced to close its doors, don't you think?
Won't you drink up your milk?
Well, here we are. Tomorrow. Soon.
Dr. Martel,
Mr. Kluger.
Commandant sends his compliments. He thought you might care to call on him before you go home.
Why?
Cattle truck from Paris? Not quite the blue train, is it?
$179 days. Oh, Philip.
I've had the civil police round to see me. The secretary of the controlling committee has been on the telephone about it. And the girl's father says he's writing to the papers.
Well, we can stop that.
Oh, I know we can stop that. It's embarrassing and humiliating that we should have to do so. On the moral level, the Gestapo have made a mockery of our claim to scrupulous government. And on the practical level, they've made it more difficult for us to deal with the islanders.
That's overstating it a bit, surely.
You wouldn't think so if you were sitting in my chair. I shall take it up with Army Group.
It'll do no good, Friedel. The Gestapo will simply say that, in the interests of security, they were obliged to pursue an independent line.
Independent line? A fine equivocation.
Don't do it, even so. At least don't you do it.
You?
Dog does not eat dog.
That's quite funny, coming from a man with no sense of humor.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Who, then?
Muller. Let Muller do the dirty work.
You think he would?
If pushed. I suggest you get Richter to do the pushing. Now, a word of apology from the Herr General to the girl's father would not be out of order, gracious, even.
This would certainly help me.
One other thing, Friedel. The truth about Hauptmann Anders must be got at.
But we know. Anders says he told her nothing, absolutely nothing.
No.
And the girl, after 2 nights in a cell, says he told her nothing.
You misunderstand me. The question of whether he passed on the information to this girl is one thing. His relationship with her is another.
Relationship?
Look, if you're going to engineer the Herr General into complaining about the Gestapo, as well as apologizing to the girl's father, you had better be certain you know all the facts first. All the facts, Mayo.
Come in.
For Major Friedel, Herr Oberst.
Do you want me to sign for it?
Yes, please, sir.
Dr. Anders, our staff. When did Major Friedel ask for this?
Late yesterday, Herr Oberst.
I see. All right. Thank you. I'll see you get it.
Sir?
Will you wait here, please, Dr. Martel?
Come in.
Is here, Herr Oberst?
What?
Dr. Martel, the morning boat from Saint-Malo.
Yes, of course. Show him in. Oh, Otto.
Sir.
How does he seem?
As they all seem when they first come out. But it will pass.
Why? What is it?
Unreality. Detachment. Pallor of the spirit. And also, he stinks.
Right, show him in.
Dr. Martel.
Good morning, Doctor. Thank you, Oberleutnant.
Morning, Major.
Please. Won't you sit down?
Why am I here?
Will you have some coffee with me?
No.
You don't mind if I do?
You expect me to say yes?
No, but if it's to be an issue, we'll leave it. Please, Doctor, do sit down.
I want to go home.
You'll be taken there presently.
They promoted you?
Yes, Oberst, Colonel.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Why on earth should you think I should want to see you before I went home?
Your wife does not know you're coming.
I didn't know myself until last night.
I have known for a week.
So?
I thought that a man who had been away for... how long is it?
179 days.
I thought that a bath might not be unwelcome.
A bath! Oh, the rich irony of that. Sentence served, debt paid, received back into respectable society without a backward glance. 6 months of hell sluiced down the plug hole with the soapy water. Tell me, Major, Colonel, Sir, you have some bath salts, too, to help rid me of my pungent bacteria? Will what I have seen and heard and felt be flushed away, too? Tell me, will it? Sorry.
Are you all right? Are you ill?
I will have some coffee. I'm not ill.
It will take some getting used to. Being back.
Yes.
Will you have milk?
No.
Sugar?
Yes.
Have you seen your friend, Mr. Porteous?
Oh, yes, several times. When emptying our sanitary buckets. The first time, I said, "Hello, Peter, how are you?" So they stopped our soup for 3 days. As there wasn't much else, one didn't incur the risk again very lightly. But he survived. What else can one do? Some don't, mind you. Some don't. Oh, well, one can get used to anything. Well, we've had to, haven't we, really, over the 1,000,000 or so years it's taken us to get this far. Wherever that is. Lack of food, a cold, gone to cold. Fear.
Fear?
Yes, fear.
Fear of what?
Haven't you been to such places? Of course you haven't.
Well, deprivation, yes, that is the nature and purpose of such places. But fear? I don't understand.
Colonel, when the key turns in the lock of your cell, you are afraid. Afraid because it might not be a bowl of ersatz coffee or a piece of hard black bread or your sanitary bucket to empty. But something else. Every week for some it is something else. A visit to the room in the basement where they ask questions. Or to the execution yard.
But that can't have been the case for you.
Why not? Tell me why not.
Because you're not that kind of person.
Oh, we've got to. When I first stepped onto occupied France 6 months ago, I didn't know then. You still don't know, do you? But I know now.
Doctor, where is this leading us?
Now, you asked me a question, or at least you raised the question. It's important to answer it, at least for me it is.
Very well.
Now, the German presence here on Guernsey has been a reasonable one, wouldn't you say?
I hope so. I have tried to make it so.
Yeah, and on the whole, the islanders have been equally reasonable.
Aye.
In fact, apart from a few shortages and the uniforms, restricted areas, you'd scarcely know there was a war on.
Scarcely.
No, we don't much like your being here, but by and large, you've been fair, even civilized. There is a mutual, if grudging, respect. Would you agree?
Yes.
Well, you're an academic, aren't you? In peacetime, you lived in England.
In Cambridge, yes?
Trumpington Street, yes. You've told my wife.
That's right.
Perhaps you like the English. Is that what you meant? When you said for me the beatings, the shooting, the tortures would not apply.
I think I've heard enough, Doctor.
Because living here, you'd be forgiven for not knowing. Whereas in Cherche Midi prison, there are actually Jews, and French, and Belgians, and other lesser races without the law. And they know. They know.
Dr. Martell, it's nice to see you again.
See what I mean? Hello, Major. Oh, I'm sorry. Have they promoted you too?
No, I fear not.
I'll find an orderly to show you to the ablutions room.
I'd prefer to go home stinking.
Why? Let them see how you've been treated?
I'd feel less of a Judas that way.
And you intend to stay that way? Carrying your smell about with you like a badge?
Your badge! Your badge!
I'll see that you're driven home.
I don't want your bloody favours! Too many favours, too much civility, it becomes servility. My daughter Claire was right. War is war, and we've forgotten we're combatants in it. But not those poor bastards out there in Cherche Midi and all the other hellholes you people use to assert your will. They don't forget. When they spit out their teeth on the basement floor, or stand with their backs to the execution yard wall. War is war, Colonel. It should not masquerade as something else.
Doctor, man makes the best of his circumstances. To do otherwise is perverse. It's capricious. It's unreasonable. You spoke just now of your daughter. I have something to say concerning her, but first let me tell you of something that she said to me on that very day that you were last in this place, 179 days ago. She said, in effect, what you were saying. War must be continued, even if only in the mind. You cannot win if you do not fight. I said you cannot fight if you do not survive. Whatever may be the abuse of man, that is the use of nature. First survive. You said of Mr. Porteous, he survives. Oh, you're right. We get used to anything because we've had to over 1 million years and more. Evolution is an obstacle race. Need I tell a doctor that? And we are here to testify to our adaptability.
Survival of the fittest. The law of the jungle. Well, Adolf Hitler has certainly given us that.
That's all I can offer you is a hot bath.
With bath salts?
I think not. You would not be betraying anything or anybody.
Very well. I accept.
Send my servant in here.
You said you had something to say concerning my daughter.
Yes. It is not for me to interfere in family matters, but I feel that I should tell you that your daughter has not been well.
She's all right?
She's not well. Dr. Forbes has been looking after your practice. She has been in his care. I think she has felt the strain of your absence very keenly.
What did it? What's been the matter?
She was found in the sea. I believe she's making progress, but she and your wife will need your help. It will be a difficult adjustment. It will need a show of morale. Come in. Schmidt, will you escort the head doctor to the washroom? Provide him with soap, towel, razor. See that his shoes are cleaned. When he's ready, he's to be driven home.
Yes, Herr Oberst.
Oh, I shall walk home.
Would you prefer to?
Yes, I would prefer to.
Your suitcase can be delivered.
I must carry that home. Carried it from my cell, I must carry it home.
As you wish.
The adjustment will not be easy for him.
No. I would not expect it to be. Oh, this came for you. Right on, Anders.
Oh, yes. I need to talk to you about that.
Can't ask the Commander-in-Chief to apologize.
It would be better coming from him.
I fail to see why.
Well, coming from him, the overall view, noblesse oblige, preservation of amicable relations with the islanders, that sort of thing.
Noblesse oblige, indeed. What you mean is he carries more weight. Oh, why did the good Lord have to send to me Franz Otto Anders?
He's a very good, conscientious officer.
Right now, what he is a bloody nuisance.
And that's just what General Müller will think of me. All right, then, I'll put it to him.
Thank you, Commandant.
You won't agree, of course.
Oh, I'm sure he will. If you ask him nicely.
Yes, well, that'll cost you a schnapps, Ernst, which I shall have the pleasure of taking from you very shortly.
Small price to pay to mollify the residents.
Well, we'll see. Now, what is the latest position? Come in.
The tray, Herr Obst.
What? Oh, no. Come back later.
Very good, Herr Obst.
What is the present situation concerning Anders?
In view of the Gestapo report, Herr Oberst, I'm obliged to ask for his suspension from duty.
But is that absolutely necessary?
I think it is, Herr Oberst.
It seems a pity. All right, send me a note to Sturmbannführer.
I have, Herr Oberst. It's in the internal mail.
Oh, you haven't wasted much time, have you?
Well, there is a prima facie case against him.
If it is there. I thought the girl, what's her name?
Marguerite Lepelle.
I thought she'd consistently denied that Anders gave her any information whatever.
Well, that is so, Herr Oberst. Nevertheless, there is presumptive evidence against him.
What presumptive evidence?
The girl was in possession of the information. Anders was the only German she knew.
And yet, despite being kept for 2 days and nights in a prison cell, totally alone, and under repeated Gestapo questioning, she still denies the man told her anything.
Do you know him, Otto?
Yes, I met him once or twice in the mess.
Well, what's your view of him? Speaking in your capacity of working psychologist.
Well, he seems to be a decent, honest sort of chap. But then, speaking as a working psychologist, I must say that we all are, until given the means, motive and opportunity to be otherwise.
Your years in the Hamburg police force have soured you, Otto.
Seasoned rather than soured, I would say, sir.
Well then, General Müller will want to know the facts. We better have a brief prepared of our own. Can you do that, Ranniker?
Anders has been very uncooperative with the Gestapo. He's unlikely to tell me more.
What about Kluger?
It's a question of rank. He's a Hauptmann.
If he doesn't object, would you?
No, why should I?
All right, then I'll have him in. Thank you, gentlemen, that's all. Oh, Otto.
Sir?
You'll need his papers.
Ah, yes. He won't object.
I must try and make sure he doesn't, mustn't I?
You know, this is without doubt one of the single most happy days of my life.
Oh, Philip.
I mean, it's quite nice seeing you again, old girl. But a poached egg? What Lucullan delight!
12 and 6 it ought to be. And we've got something special for dinner tonight.
Something special for dinner. Oh, what magical words!
Well, not that special.
You know, she's good.
Yes, I know. Helen's coming over this afternoon.
Yeah?
I could ring and tell her no.
No, I'd like to see her.
Is there anything about Peter that...
No, I was hardly able to see Peter at all.
Oh, dear. It's extraordinary, you know. She rang me this morning to ask if I'd heard anything. Not a word, I said, little supposing. You... Every morning after breakfast, I'd cross off the previous day. It was nice doing that. I'd save it up. I wouldn't think that the day was ticking by minute. I would save it all up, so that the whole 24 hours would whiz by at one stroke. Now I don't have to do that. I shall feel what? A sense of ingratitude.
To the calendar?
Silly, isn't it? It's been a kind of mute, conspiring friend. Now I don't need it. I'm abandoning it.
Olive, you are a great chump.
Am I?
Yes. Lovely, though. It's not really the 24th today, is it?
No, but it is Wednesday. Calendar's 2 years out of date.
Oh, thank God for that. You had me worried.
Why?
Well, I'd scratched my calendar on the window recess, so the guard wouldn't see it. And I had worked it out to be Wednesday the 22nd, so when I saw the 24th, I thought I had lost 2 days.
But surely you would know the number of days by when it was dark and when it was night.
I didn't always notice. This is splendid. Now, tell me about Claire.
Will she? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
And as you have been the source of considerable embarrassment to the military administration.
I have done nothing wrong.
The Geheime Staatspolizei are convinced of that.
I am a responsible member of the armed forces. The Gestapo have no business with me, Herr Oberst.
Hauptmann, the Gestapo, if they feel they have reason, will find a way of having business with anyone. Have absolutely no doubt of that.
But I am a soldier, not a civilian.
A civilian is involved. Well, for reasons of military propriety, the Gestapo is dressing up its interest in other clothes, in this case the Waffen-SS, which is why I have received this from Sturmbannführer Reinecker.
Suspended from duty?
Pending further inquiries.
I trust you will ignore it, Herr Oberst.
I certainly cannot ignore it. I'm suspending you with immediate effect.
Then I'm to be treated as a common criminal.
A little meekness would not injure your cause. Had you been more cooperative with the Gestapo, we might not have come to this.
I resent their filthy innuendos.
Well, Anders, there it is. You made enemies of the Gestapo, and you put the Commander-in-Chief at a disadvantage. That is why I'm suspending you. Until you're in the clear, you're no good to either me or yourself. You're compromised, do you understand that?
Then what is my best course, Herr Oberst?
I think you should have a talk with Oberleutnant Kluge. Tell him the truth. Answer all his questions. If we can show that we have our own house in perfect order, we can turn away the wrath of others,
It's degrading. It's humiliating.
Anders, I don't understand you. If you have behaved properly, where is the harm in answering a few questions? We've only to put the record straight. Oh, come on, let's have done with this once and for all, yes or no?
Very well.
Dreamy?
Yes.
Nice one, I hope.
Well, whatever it is, it's gone now. It was nothing to do with Sheshmidi or anything like that. Good. What time did you say Helen was going to be here?
Oh, mid-afternoon, I expect.
Oh, I should be back by then. Isn't there anything I could, some apples or something like that?
No, they won't keep over winter.
What about some spring flowers?
Philip, you won't.
Let me. Let me.
It's no good, Doctor.
That cannot be.
I'm sorry.
But I mean, she is my daughter. I've just got back. I've been away for 6 months. Well, what reason can there possibly be?
You mustn't blame yourself.
I don't blame myself. Damn it, I would just like to know.
Won't you please sit down? I cannot explain to you her reasons. I don't know them. Perhaps she doesn't know them.
But she can't be left in this situation without help. Surely you can see that.
I can see how it must seem to you. But here she's not without help. Here everyone needs help, and everyone gives help. That's why Dr. Forbes brought her to us.
You a trained psychiatrist?
You know the answer to that.
Yes. Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be rude.
And you weren't. Please sit down. Claire needs to feel needed. Here we can give her much to do for others.
Saved by good works, eh, Mother?
Saved by grace. But good works certainly help.
We're not Catholics.
But she's a Christian. And even if she weren't, we'd still be able to offer her the privilege of service to others. As soon as she feels able to see you, she will. But to press her at present, because I do realize how hard it must be for you and your wife. But it's a measure of her distress that she must know that too, and yet not feel able to come home to you.
I've been waiting for very nearly half an hour.
My apologies, Hauptmann. Please, sit down.
This is a most time-wasting business.
Forgive me, Hauptmann. I understood that you had been suspended from duties.
That doesn't mean I have no other demands upon my time.
In that case, we better get on with it without further delay. Tell me all about it, Hauptmann.
Tell you all about what, Oberleutnant?
This whole unfortunate business.
Unfortunate for whom?
The girl, certainly.
I am totally innocent, Kluger.
Not according to the Gestapo.
You believe that rabble?
I would like to have reasons not to do so.
A man is innocent till proved guilty, Oberleutnant.
Not to me, he's not. That is all twaddle for constitutional lawyers. I'm a policeman. To me, it's the other way around.
That's the most appallingly cynical statement.
Wrong, Hauptmann. I have no time for cynicism. It is a cheap pose which gets in the way of truth. Now, if you'd said skepticism, I might have agreed with you. I have a professional inclination towards incredulity.
If you start out like that, there's no point to this at all.
Wrong again, Hauptmann. I am as prepared to question the findings of the Gestapo as I am prepared to question your very natural assumption of your own innocence.
I did not tell the girl anything at any time about troop movements. The girl says so herself. That is the end of the matter.
No, Hauptmann. It is just the beginning. And at no time did I discuss military matters with either of the two girls. Good. If I might just have your signature, Hauptmann. There.
You mean it isn't the whole truth and nothing but the truth till I've signed it, huh?
Oh, your signing it does not certify that it is the truth, merely that I've got it down right, that it is a faithful report of what you said took place.
I find your manner offensive.
Sign it.
I presume it is now in order for me to leave, Oberleutnant?
It is not in order for you to leave. I will tell you when you may go. Frankly, I'm not satisfied with your explanation.
This is intolerable.
Hauptmann, I have seen the statement of the girl Jennifer Wright. She does not say that her friend thought that the troops were being sent to Russia, but that she knew. She said, I know where they're being sent. They're being sent to Russia.
How many times do I have to keep saying the same thing? For God's sake, the girl hazarded a guess. Or some soldier may have told her.
The soldiers didn't bloody well know where they were going. As a matter of pure routine security, only the unit commander and your office knew. Now, these two girls don't mention the unit commander or anybody else. Only you.
Why should I tell them?
Yes, I've been wondering that. Perhaps you'd be good enough to tell me what was your relationship with this Marguerite Le Palais.
My relationship?
Yes, I take it you did have one.
You suggesting?
Oh, come on, Anders. You're not a kid wet behind the ears. You're 37 years of age, healthy, far from home. Oh, come on. Tell me what you've been up to with her.
I shall complain to the Commandant.
Do as you like. If you go out of that door, you've had it. You are the dog who has rolled in it. Now, don't expect anyone else to touch you. I've been told to get the truth out of you, and by God, that is what I'm going to have. Now, sit down. That's better. Now tell me about you and this girl. Oh, very well. We'll do it the other way. I will start drilling, and you tell me when it begins to hurt. In November, you were billeted at Le Bigard. You made the acquaintance of these two girls. They showed some interest in your horse, and occasionally you allowed them to ride it. One of the two, Marguerite Le Pellet, was, a little more adventurous. You started to favor her. I have the personal details here the Gestapo took. Height, 5'3", bust, 34, complexion fresh, hair blonde, eyes blue. I wouldn't blame you, Anders. Maybe I'd have done the same thing myself. But she didn't tell you she was only 15, huh? No, they never do. I expect she made the first move, huh? Led you on a bit, did she? God, you're a dirty-minded bastard, Kluger. Let you touch her up, did she? Well, did she? No. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Anders. I'm going to give you a chance. A chance to save these girls from more unpleasantness. You're going to have till 1600 hours, Anders. Otherwise, I'm going to pull them in again. You have 1 hour, Anders. You may go.
Sorry to keep you, Richter. One or two problems with divisional staff.
Really, sir?
Now, what's this problem that's worrying Friedel?
It concerns 2 young girls and the Gestapo, sir.
Beauty and the Beast, eh?
An apt comment, sir, when you hear what I have to say.
I see. Well, you'd better sit down and tell me about it.
2 girls come from respectable Guernsey families. They're both 15 years old. And like many young girls of that age, mad about horses. So inevitably, they sought out the mounted units near where they live and volunteered to help to muck out the chance of a ride. Now, a few months ago...
Asking for trouble.
Yes, I suppose it's a tribute to their innocence so that I haven't actually found it.
Or naivete.
Yes. And a few months ago, Hauptmann Anders, our staff transport officer, and a very keen horseman himself...
Anders, he has a damn fine Arab stallion, hasn't he?
Indeed he has, sir. He was quartered out at Le Bigard. The girls used to see him out exercising the horse, and eventually got to know him, so much by way of background, as it were. And now we come to last Saturday. Every weekend, the girls come into St. Peter Port to walk about, see if there's anything in the shops, and they always rendezvous at Stubant's Café, which is what they did last Saturday. It appears that one of the girls, Jennifer Wright, mentioned quite casually that all the troops and their guns quartered round Le Bourg and La Villette seemed to have disappeared overnight. The other girl, Marguerite Le Pellet, said that she knew where they had gone.
She knew?
She said they had been sent to Russia.
Which, of course, they have. 4 batteries of field artillery.
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, the cafe is also frequented by the Gestapo, hoping to pick up information from the harmless gossip of the islanders. And, of course, the 2 girls had no way of knowing that the 2 men sharing their table were Gestapo agents. Well, when the men overheard what had been said, they dragged the girls out into the street and then bundled them into a car, drove them away to the Gestapo office. There the girls were separated and put through an interrogation. The first girl, Jennifer Wright, was questioned about what German she knew, and she gave them Anders' name. She was then released and told to keep her mouth shut, otherwise her entire family would be arrested.
Good heavens.
The other girl, Marguerite Lepelle, told the Gestapo that what she had said was nothing more than a wild guess designed to impress her friend. When confronted with Anders' name, she simply denied that he'd ever said anything to her at any time other than to chat about his horse. And she has stuck to that story, despite being locked up the entire weekend and terrified out of her wits by being hauled out at all hours and accused of being a liar.
They really are damnable people.
And naturally, the girl's father alerted the civil police. They got in touch with the Feldkommandant as a matter of course, but Major Friedel was unable to help them. After all, he knew nothing of any of this. Hence his considerable embarrassment when he learned at the beginning of the week, and from the civil police themselves, that the girl had all the time been in German hands.
My God, that is an appalling story.
Yes, I was sure that you would think so, sir.
Quite apart from the inhumanity, it makes us look so bloody silly.
Yes. Unfortunately, the girl's parents have been pressing the civil administration to make a big issue of the whole thing, and Major Friedel, who has to deal with the civil administration every day, feels that it may undermine good relations unless something is offered by way of an apology.
Well, let the Gestapo do it.
They refuse to, sir.
Why?
They say they were right to do what they did.
I see. That's a fine position to be in, isn't it? I'm damned if I see why I should pull other people's chestnuts out of the fire just because of some moron in the Gestapo. Is that what this gold braid is for?
I understand exactly how you feel, sir. The only reason I bother you with it is...
Yes, I'm not stupid. I can see the politics of it as well as the next man. They won't. You can't. So I get it. This chap Anders, what's his story?
Well, he confirmed what the girl said. He told her absolutely nothing.
And do the Gestapo accept that?
No, sir.
No.
They're asking for his immediate suspension from duty pending further inquiries.
Damn it, Richter, why didn't you tell me that straight off?
Oh, forgive me, sir, but I thought it irrelevant to the whole question of the apology.
Did you indeed? Well, I want to know the truth of this, understand?
Oh, that is in hand, sir.
I'm very glad to hear it.
Well, then, may I tell Major Friedel that an expression of regret will be forthcoming?
Yes, very well.
Thank you, sir.
Come in, yes. The 10 minutes early, Hauptmann. Please, sit down.
I prefer to stand.
As you please.
I will tell you the truth.
I will be very pleased to hear it.
Yes, I did. Tell her.
I don't know when I've been so excited. Do you know, I keep thinking of him still as in prison. Then, of course, I realise he's back here. It's most extraordinary. Is he... Oh, he's very tired. And very thin, of course. Not much chance of fattening him up here, is there?
Will Claire see him?
I really don't know. I'm not sure it would be a good idea if she did. It would be very wounding if she just presented that dreadful blankness to him.
It's only a matter of time. You'll see.
Yes, of course it is. That's really all it is, a matter of time. Time for Philip to recover and Claire to get back to her old self. Or Peter to come home.
Clive back from Germany.
Yes, it's just a matter of time.
Oh, it's been a long time, hasn't it? Since our world turned upside down that last Sunday in June. Goodness, it's nearly 2 years, isn't it?
Philip saw Peter several times. He said he looked fit, notwithstanding the fact...
Notwithstanding. Yes. Well, everything's going to be all right. Now, how many balls of wool have you managed to wind for my Children's Emergency Bureau? Olive, you've done wonders.
Haven't I?
Philip.
Helen. Hello. Sorry I wasn't here to greet you. I should go away more often. How have you been?
Well, the thought of seeing you and Peter again has buoyed me up.
Yes, he's jolly fit. Sends his love. Can't wait to see you again.
Did you manage to see him often?
Well, yeah, he's written to you, hasn't he?
Yes, one letter in December.
Won't be long now.
No, it won't be long. It's good to see you.
Very, very good to see you.
Some tea, then.
Right, Joe, I'm tired. I'll walk back. Oh, that's welcome, thanks. Mother Superior. I suppose she's a good woman.
Of course she is.
Are you saying, Otto, that after all this you don't believe his confession?
Yes, Sir Orbis. I'm convinced that until the confession he was telling the truth.
Then how did the girl get the information?
Just as she said. A lucky guess. It's not so extraordinary.
The Gestapo think that it is.
Well, I do not.
Well, so you reject his confession as false?
Yes, Sir Orbis. I think he made the admission in order to save the girls, and especially this Marguerite Lepelle, from further interrogation.
It's a remarkably generous thing to do, considering he was throwing his career away.
Well, perhaps there was something that he felt guilty about after all. Well, I speak as a working psychologist.
It wasn't Peter's fault, Helen, any more than it was Claire's. They were both doing what they thought was right. Oh, admittedly, I was an unknowing part of the plan. But I no longer regard it as deceit on their part that they didn't tell me. If they had, I wouldn't have been carrying the photograph of that German destroyer. It proves they were right not to tell me. Well, the plan miscarried, that's all. And we've all been punished for it. Not because they did wrong, but because it went wrong. They did what they thought was right. That's what's important. Doing what you think's right. You know, in all those hours I spent on my own in that place, one of the things I tried to do was to remember all the poetry I'd ever read. Of course, the one that kept coming back to me was Richard Lovelace's. Stone walls do not a prison make, nor iron bars a cage. The trouble was I can never remember what came next.
Angels alone.
Exactly. It came to me one day when I wasn't thinking about anything in particular. Angels alone that soar above enjoy such liberty. So I sat and thought about that. Wondered what it meant. The nearest I could get was that if we do our best to do what we think is right, then maybe we can fly there too.